Okay, everyone, welcome back. We're going to talk now about what we call persuasion in marketing messages. Everyone has done this in one way or another. You try to persuade someone to do something, to act your way, to think your way, whatever the case might be. The same goes in business. Persuasion is a very powerful tool. When you start looking for future jobs, the whole premise behind your resume, the whole premise behind your cover letter and interviews is persuasion. So let's talk about how we can enact this in business messages. Persuasion, again, is the ability to use argument or discussion to try to change an individual's belief or action. Basically, what you're doing is convincing someone to do something, to think some way, to act some way that they do not want to do. Now, if you think about it, if they do it willingly and they want to do it, are you really persuading? No, there is no persuasion there. So again, you're trying to have someone do something they don't want to do. There are, again, similar to the routine messages and the bad news, negative messages, the opening, the body, and the closing are unique. So with the persuasive message, the opening gains attention. You're trying to get them to think about what you may want to do or not to do. You're not really telling them yet what you have to do, but you're gaining their attention. The body has two sections also. First, you're going to build interest. Then you're going to reduce resistance. There's always going to be a resistance factor to some degree. You have to break that down. And then finally in the closing, that's when you are going to get them to bite, to motivate, to act the way you want them to do it. Take a look at each part individually. The opening, the attention getter. Well, we're not going to front load it. We're not going to start off with the purpose of this message is to persuade you to do something you don't want to do. So we're not coming up with the purpose. We have to find a different approach. Well, some things we can do. Don't try to use all these, but some things you can do depending upon a situation is maybe describe a problem. An example would be the lifeguard. You see the old people who have their little pendants, and they always start with a problem. Ma fell in the shower, and she's calling for help and didn't have her pendant, but if she had her pendant, blah blah blah. So again, a problem is good, but use it only. Use a problem only if your message relates to a problem. How about an unexpected statement? Something out of the blue. Maybe an unexpected thought. Percentages are great. Numbers are great. We'll talk about those more in a bit. A compliment. Pay the reader a compliment. Give them some praise, maybe related facts. Again, 1 out of every 10 whatevers, something happens. Again, another, numbers are good. A stimulating question. What would you do if you were home alone and the power was out? Bingo. Again, raise some questions, get them to think about it. You're gaining their attention. A reader benefit. Without stating what it is, tell them what a benefit might be and let them go, that would be kind of nice. So again, these are ways you can start it. The opening is not going to be long. It could be one sentence. It could be one question. But again, 1, 2, at the most 3 sentences is enough. Too much and you're going to bore them and you're going to lose them. Building interest. Well, that's the first part of the body. Remember, we have 2 parts. So the first part. Develop interest again by using facts, statistics. testimonials, and specific details. You're still not giving them the specifics. It's like with a negative message. You're still not telling them the answer is no, but you're kind of building up to it. That's what we're doing here. You're building up to the punchline, so to speak. So facts, again, are great. People love numbers. They love to hear numbers. They want to know, how I'm going to fall in with a group of individuals or how I can do something based on other people. They want to know how they're going to be ahead of the game. Numbers do that. Establish your credibility, if necessary, by explaining your background and your expertise. Everyone has some. So, it might be something as, in the last 20 years of teaching, I have realized or I have found that students do blah, 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 blah. Okay, my credibility is because of my 20 years experience. Even if you don't have experience, if you just state, you have been involved in something, that develops some degree of credibility. So think about using that opportunity. Finally, tie facts to direct and indirect benefits. Direct benefits are those that will immediately happen to an individual. You will gain something. You will receive something. And direct are usually tangible types of things. Indirect benefits might be not necessarily something that will happen to you, but maybe something that will happen to other people that you may relate to. Again, let's go back to the old people with their little pennants. Peace of mind, not so much for the old person, but for the young family members who are worried about mom or dad slipping in the shower or falling down the stairs. Knowing that they have that little pennant, they're going to have peace of mind. So again, direct, indirect. Think of how you might want to use those. It's also not a bad idea to try to use one of each. You never know which way the reader wants to go. Direct versus indirect. Talk a little bit more here about that. Direct benefits are extrinsic. Again, an example is if you accept our invitation to speak, you will have an audience of 50 potential customers for your product. Great. Very extrinsic. It's external, but it's something that could provide an intrinsic reward. Looking at the intrinsic benefits, your appearance would prove your professionalism and make us grateful for your willingness to give something back to our field. Again, intrinsic are usually the intangible, the fuzzy things, the warm fuzzy feelings you might get for doing something. Whereas the extrinsic are actual physical things you might get. Again, I suggest you add one of each. That way you've got your bases covered if you need it. Resisting or reducing resistance. Everyone's going to have some resistance. They're going to maybe catch up on it, but you want to be able to diffuse that. And how can we do this? Well, maybe anticipate objections and provide counter arguments. Doesn't hurt to do that. And again, let's go back to the old people. I think one of the commercials has the elderly lady goes, "Well, I'm not that old. I really don't need this." Well, again, it's not for you. It's for your loved ones, their peace of mind. So think about one, if you got more, great, use them. But certainly kind of anticipate one objection. Suggest what might be lost if the request is not granted. Usually at the end of commercials, again, I love commercials because commercials are great. At the end of these infomercials, at the very end, what do they say? If you call in the next 15 minutes, we're going to give you not one but 3 of whatever it is they're trying to sell. Now, what happens at 16 minutes? Supposedly, you're not going to have that opportunity. So again, kind of build in some loss or anticipation of loss down the road. If requesting favors or making recommendations show how the receiver or others will benefit, again, not only the intrinsic but the extrinsic rewards that could be received. You don't have to use all of these, but again, depending on what you're trying to convince, think about what would work the best. Motivating the action. This is in the closing. And at the end of commercials, they hit you. Call this number right now, and in the next 5 minutes, and what happens? A timer appears, and you'll see a clock with a little spinning hand, and the seconds are ticking down. And if you don't act right away, oh my gosh, you're going to lose out. So we're going to push the motivation here. Make a precise request. Include the deadline. You got to have a deadline. 5 minutes, March 10th. Whatever it is, give them the deadline. Repeat the benefits. Again, they hit back. You're not only going to get one, but you're going to get 3 of these. Call now. You can't lose. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, again, repeat these benefits. Provide the details or offer an incentive. Bonuses are great. Buy one, act now, get 3. So, again, these are marketing. You won't necessarily have to use these, but you can always throw in a little, what I call a bone, just to make them a little more motivated. Now, as I did with the negative message video you probably just saw, I now show you the opening, body, closing for the routine, persuasive, and negative. You will see there are some basic similarities, but there are some definite dissimilarities. This will help you with the reflection question, and also will help you when you develop your persuasive and negative message activities. That's all I got for now, folks. Questions? Let me know. Take care. Talk soon.